Hello you beautiful people, my name is Gecko and welcome back to another video. So today we're doing the final mob from the 2021 mob vote. We're going to be making the Copper Golem inside of Minecraft Bedrock early. Just before we get started, I do want to ask that if you did enjoy this series, please consider leaving a like and to subscribe if you are new around here. It really means a lot and helps out a ton. But onto the video. So we are once again starting off by creating a model just like we did with all of the previous projects. Now to create this model was actually quite simple to do in comparison with the other ones because well it's just a golem, so it's just like 7 cubes that have been stacked on top of one another. Now to create the textures, that was a completely different story. I struggled quite a bit to get like a metallic look that I felt looked good, but in the end I did eventually get there. I won't say how long it took me, but eventually we got there. Now after I created this copper texture, it was time to create some more variants of it. So I wanted to do an oxidized version and a weathered version because, well, obviously it's the copper golem and it will be able to rust over time. So I did just that. I created this oxidized version just by messing around with some of the color tones. And then I went ahead and took that one and sprinkled a little bit of brown on there to create the weathered version of it. But in the end we got all three and I think they look quite cool. So with the models and textures done, we could make the animations. Now the animations, there's nothing special about it, it's literally just a simple walking animation. So I quickly whipped that up and yeah, now we could move on to coding this guy. So unlike with the previous two, we're not really going to be using a vanilla mob as a base to work off of. Because for this mob I already know what I need to do and how to do it. So what I simply did was to grab the Iron Golem's entity file and just use that as a base, just because, well, the Iron Golem file is pretty much completely empty. The only thing in there is like the movement part and that's pretty much it. So it's a very good like canvas to start off of. So with the Iron Golem's file cleaned up a little bit, we could move on to creating the oxidation mechanic. So to do this should be relatively simple. What I'm going to be doing is to create 3 states for this entity to be in: a clean state, a weathered state, and an oxidized state. So each state will have a value assigned to its skin ID, and then we can simply change out the texture based on that skin ID. Then on top of that, I'm also going to be adding the movement part into the clean version and also into the weathered version. But if the copper golem is in the oxidized state, it won't have any of the movement code attached, and so it should become pretty much just a statue. And yeah, now it's pretty much just a case of creating a system that will automatically assign these guys over time. So I just added a timer, and this timer will trigger an event that will age the copper golem over time and switch it between the different states. But I also want to do more than just that. So I decided to add an interact component, and what I wanted to do is that if you interact with any sort of axe on top of this copper golem, you could wax off all of the rust, but you could also protect it against oxidizing simply by clicking on it with some honeycomb. Now I did do some more stuff, but that was pretty much all that there was to it. So now we can actually see this guy in game and see just how exactly it works. Okay, so we can finally take a look at this mob inside of the game. It is finally finished, and this marks the end of all 3 of the 2021 mob votes. But that's not why you're here. You're here to see this guy. Okay, but my guy, you spent this whole video making a mob. Now all I'm seeing is some retextured copper blocks. Well, that's because, well, obviously this is a golem, meaning you can build it for yourself. So in order to build a golem, we're going to need a copper block at the bottom and then a copper heart on top. So we're just going to go into the crafting menu and craft ourselves a copper heart. Once we have this block over here, we can build our golem. So let's just plop a copper block down there and a copper heart on top, and as you can see, there he goes. And the base part is, like I showed you, you will actually oxidize over time like this. Now there are 3 stages. Obviously we have the normal clean copper look, then the weathered look, and as you can see it just turned into the fully oxidized model. Now when it's oxidized you can kind of push it around and everything, but it will not move on its own. It is pretty much just a statue, a very cute statue at that. But fear not, because if you grab ourselves any sorts of axe and right click on this guy, you can see that he will be waxed and he will come alive once again. Come on, show the people you're alive, follow me. And he's already oxidizing again. As you can see, he will move around again and start the oxidation process again. So for the sake of the video, I did speed up the oxidation a little bit, but in reality it should take quite a bit longer than this. But let's say you're not in the mood to constantly go and wax this guy. Well, in that case we can use honeycomb. So all that we need to do is to wax this guy and then use our honeycomb on him, and now he will not rust anymore. But we can go ahead and create another one, and once this guy starts to oxidize, we can then use the honeycomb on him as well, and now he won't oxidize beyond this point. So you can have these guys in multiple states inside of your world. But let's say you accidentally waxed it while it was still in its orange state, well then you can just use your axe on it again and it will remove our honeycomb layer and he will start to oxidize once again. Now unfortunately, with the way that add-ons work at the moment, there is no way for these guys to actually interact with any blocks, so I couldn't add the mechanic where these golems will actually press the copper buttons. But I do hope that you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, feel free to leave a like and to subscribe if you are new around here. But thanks for watching guys, and I will see all of you again in the future with a brand new video. Cheers!